Okay, let's dig into this. Today we're doing a deep dive on network recovery, really fundamental stuff for basically any business now.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds technical, maybe a bit dry.
Yeah,
But the sources you shared, they make it crystal clear this isn't just some IT department trick box. It's core business survival.
right. And what jumps out right away is just how common network downtime actually is.
It really does. I mean, it's not like some once in a blue moon disaster. No, we
No.
saw that figure from Invenio IT between 2019 and 2022. Something like 96% of businesses had at least one downtime incident.
96%. That's nearly everyone.
It's pretty much guaranteed, yeah.
And yet, even with that kind of number staring us in the face, so many companies are well unprepared. They don't have a solid plan for when it happens, not if.
Exactly. One source had that quote from Matthew Heldright, comparing it to leaving your house completely unlocked.
Doors unlocked, windows open, just asking for trouble.
It really underscores this preparedness gap. So I think our mission here is to use these sources to really understand the costs, the different reasons networks go down.
And what a good recovery plan actually needs to include. What are the essential parts?
Precisely, because, I mean, it's obvious but worth saying, businesses run on data.
Totally.
And data runs on the network goes down.
Everything stops. Communication, gone. Work stops getting done. Revenue takes a nosedive. It's like the circulatory system, isn't it?
That's a good way to put it. And the sources point out something interesting about the causes. We tend to think, floods, fires, big things, major disasters, right?
Major
but often
disaster.
it's much more everyday stuff like old hardware just giving up, or someone makes a mistake, a human error in configuration. Yeah, yep. Or even just one router getting overloaded and starting a cascade failure takes out a whole chunk of the network.
Wow. Those are the kind of silent threats you might not even plan for.
Exactly. And then, of course, you have the deliberate stuff, attacks.
Like DDoS, right? Sources mention
Beatboxing.
that. Distributed denial of service.
Yeah, and the key there, as the sources note, isn't always stealing data. Sometimes the goal is simpler to just overwhelm the system, paralyze operations, make the network useless.
To shut you down.
So you got this whole range of threats from, accidents to outright attacks, which brings us back to being ready for it.
And that statistic you mentioned earlier is pretty stark here. Only 54% have a full disaster recovery plan.
Yeah, 54%, which means almost half of organizations are basically just rolling the dice. Gambling on uptime, as one source put it.
Gambling on uptime, that feels incredibly risky, especially with those common non-disaster causes. So, okay, for the businesses trying not to gamble, what does a strong recovery strategy actually involve according to these sources?
Well, they lay out some key pillars. First up is network redundancy.
Okay, so like backup routes.
Essentially, yeah, like having a plan B for your data highway. If the main route is blocked, traffic just switches over.
Got it, makes sense.
Then there's segmentation, dividing the network into smaller, isolated zones.
So if one area gets hit, say with malware or an equipment failure.
It doesn't spread everywhere. It contains the damage, keeps the whole business from going down.
Smart, what else?
Automated failover systems are crucial. These things detect an outage immediately and automatically switch critical services to backup systems. Minimal interruption.
So it happens fast without someone needing to manually flip a switch.
Right, and you need real-time monitoring. That's your early warning
Мне
system.
кажется,
Yeah,
что-
constantly looking for weird signals, potential problems brewing.
Good catching things before they blow up.
Hopefully, yeah. Plus, obviously, solid data backup protocols.
Yup,
If you lose your data, recovery is kind of pointless, right?
it's true. You can't recover if there's nothing to recover.
And finally, compliance oversight. Making sure your plan actually meets any legal or industry rules you have to follow.
Okay, so putting it all together. Redundancy, segmentation, failover, monitoring, backups, compliance. These aren't nice to haves. They sound like core business functions.
They absolutely are, not IT luxuries. And the reason they're non-negotiable really hits home when you see the cost of getting it wrong.
The cost of downtime. What do the sources say?
It's pretty staggering. Up to $4,344 a minute.
Wow, 4,344 per minute that you're offline?
Yeah, offline.
Yep.
Yeah, every 60 seconds.
That number alone just drives home why this is so critical. It's not theoretical.
Not at all. It's the bottom line. So network recovery, it's not just tech support. It's fundamental risk management. It's about resilience, survival even.
And really understanding these risks, the components of a good plan, that's vital for you, for anyone navigating today's business world.
Definitely. So maybe something to think about, going back to those common causes, the aging gear, the human slip-ups, and thinking about that huge cost per minute, yeah? Where might the biggest, most overlooked vulnerability actually be hiding for most businesses? Is it the big dramatic stuff or something smaller, quieter? But just as damaging? Something for you to consider in your own context.